After watching Maul Shadow Lord, I'm sure we all have a lot of questions, like, does Maul know that Vader is Anakin Skywalker, or is Devin's story really just a Darth Talon origin story for us? But after seeing Vader go 3-on-1 against Maul and two Jedi and just winning easily, I think the biggest overarching question for the greater Star Wars universe is just how powerful is Darth Vader? Because if we are ever going to see a weaker version of Darth Vader, this is going to be the time for it, because this show takes place 1 year after Order 66, after the rise of the Empire, after Vader loses his remaining limbs and is burned to a crisp on Mustafar because he underestimates the high ground.
High ground! Ah!
Now, the general consensus is that after his injuries on Mustafar, Vader would never be able to reach his full potential, and given how common a theme that man versus machine is in Star Wars, it does make sense that Vader would never be able to reach the heights that Anakin Skywalker could have, because he's more machine now than man. But here's the thing, we never really learn just how much Vader loses. Obviously his suit is more vulnerable to Sith lightning, but Palpatine did that so that Vader couldn't defend himself against his master's attacks, and it's also why he couldn't learn to use the ability himself, or if he could, he wouldn't be able to use it because it would short-circuit his suit. Either that or his long-running fear of lightning fingies. Here's the thing about Vader, though. We obviously still get to see a lot of opportunities to see how powerful he is, because he's very committed to the Jedi Purge and maintaining the Empire's power, and let's be honest here, if he shows up, the fight is over. There's levels to this, and if you somehow get past the Inquisitors, you better run, because you are not getting him in a fight.
If that doesn't kill him, what will? Not us. Run!
Even if he has lost a step, he's obviously still very powerful. Anakin's M count is believed to be somewhere between 20 and 27,000. So even if we're saying he loses half of that, that still puts him at the same power level as Qui-Gon Jinn, Count Dooku, and Ahsoka Tano. Obviously, that's only part of having power in the Force. It's going to be much more fluid than that, but I think it also comes down to hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. I'm not saying Anakin was lazy by any stretch, but, obviously because of how physically gifted he was, he wouldn't have had to work as hard as, say, Obi-Wan would have to be a great Jedi. But once he's Vader, he has to relearn everything, and Vader's mindset is just so obsessive that he's going to just be working basically to be hitting above his weight class. Whatever Vader's maximum potential is, he's going to be getting there and is going to do everything that he can to be better than that. And there are 3 particular examples I want to look at to see just how much, or if any, of his maximum potential that Vader lost after his injuries. And obviously the first one is going to be from Maul Shadow Lord. At the end of the show, Vader manages to fight Maul, Devin Izara, and Master Iko Diodaki all at once and doesn't even suffer a scratch. And yes, we obviously don't know how powerful Devin is, we only know her as a Padawan in the TV show, but Vader still manages to kill a Jedi Master and is at times toying with Maul. He doesn't even see him as a threat. Let me say this again. This is 1 year after Vader's injuries. If ever there was going to be a time where he's weaker in the Force, this is it. But instead, he's able to fight off a former Sith apprentice and a Jedi Master to the point of complete domination. They are no threat to him. But now let's switch to one of Maul's biggest rivals in Obi-Wan, who does give Vader his injuries, but obviously we're focusing more on their duels after Mustafar, and right now there are 3 of them. In the first one, Vader just completely dominates Obi-Wan and burns him, but lets him go for some reason. And then in their second one, Vader again is able to get the upper hand, but he's more focused on humiliating Obi-Wan rather than just killing him, which leads to Obi-Wan being able to summon the power inside of himself and eventually defeat Vader. And then there's their duel in A New Hope. Now, whether you look at the canon one or the SC-38 one, there are times where Vader is just hesitant in this fight. Obviously, Old Ben is too, but that's different because he knows he's not getting off the Death Star. His plan is to just stall for time until Luke gets there so that Luke can see Vader kill him. See that smirk there? You really gonna tell me that wasn't Old Ben's plan? But back to the topic of the video. Does Vader lose his potential? Does this duel show that? I mean, if he can't keep up with Old Ben, maybe he has lost a step. Except Obi-Wan isn't just another Jedi to Vader. He's his former master who he has spent the last 19 years obsessing over. He's the one who left him to die on Mustafar. There is nobody who Vader hates more than he hates Obi-Wan. But hatred isn't the only thing that Vader would associate with Obi-Wan, because he is firmly in the dark side and has suffered because of it. Suffered because of Obi-Wan, and because of his hatred for him, and the anger that he felt towards him too before that. And he has just allowed his fear to dominate his life.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Yes, his inability to finish off his former master comes down to one of two explanations, a light side one and a dark side one, perfect for the duality of Anakin and Vader. So either he deep down still cares about his master and blames himself for everything that's happened, so he can't bring himself to deal that final blow, or he's just afraid that he can't defeat his former master, that all of their previous duels proved that Obi-Wan is better than him, or maybe even worse, he's afraid that he could finish him off. Because if he can kill Obi-Wan, then what motivates him? Who does he obsess over? Well, we do know the answer to that, because after Old Ben dies on the Death Star, Vader shifts his focus to Luke.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Ah, like father, like son. And now I want to switch over to the duels between Vader and Luke, because obviously they have two of them in the original trilogy, leading to Luke being able to overpower his father and then spare him, which leads to the redemption of Anakin Skywalker and the defeat of Darth Sidious. But here's the thing about the duel. Vader has no incentive to kill Luke here. He wants them to rule the galaxy as father and son, and that's not going to happen if one of them kills the other. He just happens to know the exact wrong button to push. So again, we have this idea of Vader fighting not to kill, one that would definitely be true in Empire as well, even when he does lose his temper with Luke. I'd go as far as to say this is the only time in the original trilogy we really see Vader fighting close to his full potential here, and he's still not fighting to kill. He just decides, hey, this fight is over, and it is. And obviously Luke is still mostly untrained, still has quite a ways to go, but he also still has more raw power than anyone else in the galaxy, except for maybe his father. So does Vader actually lose any potential on Mustafar? I mean, he's obviously slower in the suit, and he's more vulnerable to Force lightning, but even then, I think those are also mental limitations that would be reinforced by the Emperor because he'd want to keep Vader subservient to him. But as far as his connection to the Force goes, I can't really think of any reason why that would be lessened here. I mean, that's not just my opinion either. I will defer to the expert on the Force here, Master Yoda.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?
This is a galaxy of humanoid and non-humanoid beings. You know, if losing limbs cuts off your connection to the Force, then wouldn't a being with more than 4 limbs by default be more powerful than a humanoid being with 4? Or what if you had a Force-sensitive arachnid who lost 3 limbs? Would they still be more powerful than that humanoid being? I mean, would they both be more powerful than Master Apo Rancisis, who has no legs? I mean, that's nonsense. So what does it matter if Vader had all of his limbs cut off and was burned alive on Mustafar? He still has his connection to the Force, and just because Palpatine gave him a suit to limit him so that he wouldn't be as much of a threat to him specifically, it doesn't make him any less of a threat. It's all just in his head, you know? If it wasn't, then he would have lost some of his potential on Geonosis when Dooku cut off his right arm, but we know that Anakin doesn't believe that's true.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
And that's why I don't think that Vader lost the full potential that he had as Anakin Skywalker on Mustafar. If anything, I would say that he needed a humbling defeat to be able to reach that full potential. And again, not because he wasn't powerful before Mustafar, but because he was, and he knew he was. Once he was unable to breathe or walk without a machine, he couldn't take anything for granted anymore and just had to obsessively work to be able to do the bare minimum. So in a lot of ways, it did push him to be better than he otherwise ever could have been. It's just not a cost that he would have willingly paid.
What did it cost?
Everything.
This is normally where I'd make a joke about finishing a Star Wars video with a Marvel clip, but come on, you see all that stuff behind me, you're not surprised by it. But now I want to shift the question to you. Do you think that Vader actually lost his full potential on Mustafar, or was he still just as powerful as he could have been as the Chosen One? You know, at most I'd say his physical abilities probably dropped from like a 99 to a 92, but he also changed a lot mentally, so instead of being at that 99 and fighting around like a 92, he's at that 92, but mentally he's able to push himself to be like a 95 or 96, you know? But that's kind of just arguing the minutia of it all, and, you know, obviously Vader would say there's a difference, but it's only in his mind. But that's all I got for you today, so if you enjoyed, please drop a like, subscribe if you want more like this, and I'll see you next time on STV.